a little step back from those beautiful GT3 machines, a bit more user-friendly, if you like, but boy, they are cool bits of kit, aren't
what
they?
a great new series it is, Rusty. Thank you to you and Cam in the host position. Great to hear from Zach Suter as well. I'm sure he'll bounce back tomorrow. Yeah, this is a booming category, brand new as a standalone feature of Australian motor racing, but wow, it has grown. And we had a terrific weekend at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit for round 1 of Monochrome GT4. An historic weekend which saw the Ford Mustang grab its first win around the world. It starts a little bit further back in race 1 here at the Bend. 5th position for George Miedeke, but at the front, a pair of McLarens in front. There's a lot of McLarens near the front. Bucket and Hugo from the front row. Morecambe and McLennan alongside them. Lockie Manif and Shane Smollen looking to build on a solid start to their championship at Phillip Island. Marcus Blake and Tommy Heyman go out of 4. Championship leaders out of 5. That Merc that Rusty talked about out of 6 with Brabham behind the wheel. Studi and Love, the teammates, out of 7. Timmy Lay, the great man from Orange in New South Wales, off the outside of the 4th row of the grid. Quinn and Jackick and Rooney round out the top 10 cars. But it's a terrific field. 17 to take the starters. Some names you'll be familiar with, including Jake Camilleri in his Mercedes AMG. Zoe Woods starts the Porsche for TechWorks Motorsport out of 12. She's had a terrific start to her GT4 career. Team 19 Mercedes AMG of the great Mark Griffith, who says hello to his cats at home. Didn't mention the family members for some reason, but the cat's got a reference, so not sure what happened there. But he's a great character and loves it. So a couple of McLarens off the front row of the grid, and Josh Buchan has had a scooter on standby, Rusty, all weekend to run from the TCR pits, which are up at the pit entry end of pit lane, all the way down to the other end. It's about 700 metres to the GT4 garages at the pit exit end of pit lane.
Terrible life he's leading, isn't he? Race driver in more than one category this weekend. Watch for that Mustang. 3rd row. They got the phone call from the top man of Ford in America after that success at Phillip Island. A very special moment in that GT4 spec Mustang. We'll talk more about that. Safety car has pulled away. Some McLarens on the front row. Here, there are Porsches, there are Ginettas, there are Mercedes AMGs, BMWs, and more. It's a great field of cars. We're set to go racing at the Bend as the groundswell of interest in GT4 competition continues. We're underway.
Solid start, Buchan. He's got Lockie Manif behind him in that Porsche with the yellow and blue on the front, and the Mustang with all the grunt trying to pick the way through the middle, and does so from the 3rd row up to 2nd place for George Miedeke. Great start. But Buchan, fresh from the Hyundai into a McLaren for Zagami Autosport, leads the way. Jason New to drive this car in the 2nd half of the race. Marcus Flack up to 3rd, Manif back to 4th, I think in the Porsche, correct? And then we go back to Nathan Morecambe and Sam Brabham in the first of the Mercedes AMGs. So they run down the hill and the big stop to turn 6.
Game over. Mercedes AMG sneaking down the inside or endeavouring to, so Tony Quinn. And he's paired this weekend with young Jackson Rooney, who starred, you were there, Richard, at the last round of the Toyota 86 Championship in New Zealand, but he scored a string of wins in that class, set a new record in it. It came to the attention of Tony Quinn and the foundation, and they have awarded that young racer a drive, the prize drive, a test with the Triple Eight team this season. And in addition to that, he is here racing in the GT4 this weekend. Bright young talent from Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, confirmation, but it's showing Rooney on our timing monitor here in our commentary box as being the one behind the wheel. So you saw Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia with the GT3 cars, the format very similar in GT4. 2 drivers in each car, compulsory pit stop midway through the race. There is a minimum pit stop time as well that the teams need to manage. And that's all part of the way this plays out as the BMWs have a little bit of battle further down the field. The Randall Motorsport cars swap positions at turn 1. So an hour on the clock, 53 of those minutes still remaining. We see a battle between the Method Motorsport Mercedes AMG and Sam Brabham in the Mercedes, I should say, and the McLaren of Method Motorsport, which launched at this year's Bathurst 12 Hour.
So Jackson just loses that spot, but I mean, just to come back to the point we were making before, this is quite a significant step for him. Out of the Toyota 86 at Taupo International Motorsport Park just a couple of weeks ago. He's been a star in karting in New Zealand, but this is the GT4 machine. It's quite a step up, Richard, isn't it?
It is. Significant performance increase between the two of them. And a little family battle going on there, because that was Ryder Quinn in the orange BMW just sneaking down the inside of a car that his dad will drive later in the race.
He calls Tony Popeye. That's what Granddad's name is. So he's ahead of Popeye's car now. Great work. Up into position 7. Cool cars in this class. Talk at the top of the coverage, even among them the Ginetta G55, built in the UK in Leeds. That's a company with some 60 years of history of building sports and race cars. Really cool bit of kit. About 385 horsepower, 3.7 litre Ford V6 engine, and they weigh, I think from memory, they tip the scales at just over 1,080 kilos. They're a good little package. Tim Lay in the 9, having a little look at Rooney here. Not bad for 50. He didn't like us raising that subject at Phillip Island.
Oh, Tim proved at the back of 6 Hour this year, sharing a car with Will Davison.
So ages no barrier.
Yeah, and his good mate Barry Glinton, that they ages no barrier. He is still as fast as he ever has been. Cameron van den Ungen, you're with us as well for Monochrome GT4 as you were at the Islands.
No, you're just enjoying some of the racing. I was actually just keeping an eye on some of the cars out there. Lockie Manif in particular, last lap around down into turn 1, looked like he was really struggling to fight the car under brakes and turn in. He sits 4th at the moment. If you think back to Phillip Island, he was in the mix throughout, had a bit of bodywork, fly off it down the main straight at Phillip Island. But the real big mover here from qualifying into race trim, George Miedeke, and you mentioned off the top how big a weekend it was for Ford in particular, with the Mustang there being a big sponsor that weekend, and the first win, first qualifying pole position in GT4 racing internationally for Ford. The driver I wanted to talk about is actually the co-driver, the other driver that George Miedeke told me about, and that's Ryland, who's going to be taking over the wheel of that entry at some stage tomorrow, Ryland Gray. And he's just exceptionally quick as a young driver. And the fact that George Miedeke's put that car, well, he was 5th in qualifying, had a great start, has the horsepower advantage. But it's good signs for the Ford Mustang again here. Now that George is running near the front, Ryland Quinn being Ryland Gray. I'm getting tripped up with my Rylands and riders. I will get there. Ryland Gray, really, really interesting young driver, using GT4 as his springboard into racing, which I think is something we talk so much about open wheelers. GT4 is part of a developmental pathway within GT racing. And I love that the Ford group, the Miedeke Automotive Group, are using this as a springboard for a young driver.
And underscored, as we said at the top there, Jim Farley, the top man, CEO for Ford in the United States. I think he was at Goodwood in the UK when that success happened at Phillip Island. He'd been down here over the course of summer, hadn't he, driving a supercar at Calder Park, and then went across to New Zealand and jumped in an old Sierra, the first kind of tin-top race car that Greg Murphy drove, and cut some laps of Highlands Motorsport Park there. So he's a proper motorsport fan and was on the phone to say to the Miedeke team, hey, well done. That's a really milestone moment for us with that GT4 car.
Yeah, I'm not sure we quite at the time understood the significance of that victory for that team at Phillip Island, and that car in particular, because that truly went global. Bumped into Brendan McGinniskin, who's the engineering boss of Ford Motorsport in Australia, on Thursday at the hotel, and he was just talking about the way that it's ruminated out through the Ford Performance Group around the world, and everyone paid attention to what they're doing. I was speaking to Andrew Miedeke, one of the greats of Australian touring car racing, and indeed before that open wheel racing on Thursday. Bumped into him in pit lane. They have some pre-event testing for GT3 and GT4 cars before each round, and he said, look, such is the way of GT racing. We've copped a little balance of performance adjustment between rounds, so you go out and succeed, they're probably going to rein you back in a little bit. So the BOP adjustment was to the car's ride height. So SRO, the governing body of the sport, can mandate the minimum or maximum ride height of the car. In this case, they have to run the car a little bit higher. That takes a little downforce away, but it's still performing very well. And they love this car. They say the straight line motivation is one thing, but the way it puts its power down is really impressive. That traction out of the slow speed corners.
Now, he does a pretty handy job when he joins us in commentary, but we'll get in a bit of trouble because Josh Buchan is leading this race, and we've not mentioned much about him leading the way at the moment. So at the wheel of the McLaren SRO GT4, this is the step up from the 570S, more compact V6 power, lighter than the old V8 that it replaces. A bit more fuel efficient, better throttle response from this car, and he's been doing not just a great job at the wheel of the Hyundai and TCR, but he's been driving all sorts of things, hasn't he? And little wonder, getting the opportunity to drive this car in GT4, that he's gravitated to it and doing a superb job.
And this car arrived at the racetrack on Thursday, plain white, and it has been wrapped overnight, and the guy wrapping it was John Collins, former Australian Formula 3 racer. So a little bit frustrated race car driver spec, because he'd much rather be behind the wheel, but he put the wrap on this car. It's very nice for Zagami Autosport.
Very cool. Can't mistake the helmet. That's definitely Buchan at the wheel, as you can see at the moment. 1.3 seconds over Medicki. Flack. Lockie Manif sits in 4th place at the moment at the wheel of that Porsche. That's a change of scene for him this year that we probably haven't spoken a huge amount about. I think the Audi that he campaigned in TCR last year is actually up for sale, but he's paired with Shane Smolin, someone who's very good in this style of competition, and it's cool that Shane is giving him a chance to have a steer in this class as well. We're going to weave a little someone extra just as we watch this move here, or attempted move by Flack on Medicki. We'll just keep a little like watching brief on that, but let's bring someone else into the competition, or the commentary, I should say. We'll get competitive behind the microphone here. But Nathan Hearn has been doing a ripper job in America in the past year. We're thrilled to have him back at the wheel of a Trans Am car, and he's on the line from pit lane. Gee, you gave it your all again so far this weekend. What have you got in store for us on Sunday in that now that you're back in the Dodge?
Yeah, look, Rusty, it's been a steep learning curve for sure. Look, I mean, race one, I was so close but so far to getting that win, and you know, Moff, he's helped me a lot over the years and really taught me a lot about the motorsport scene, and he was probably the biggest influence for me to move to GRM and therefore go to America in the long run. So I probably raced him a little bit differently than what I would race anyone else. That ended up biting me in the backside pretty hard. So I've learnt now, Moff's not going to give me an inch, so I'll get the elbows out next time, and yeah, we'll see. That won't happen again, I'll say that much.
Ernie, Krause, what are you looking for? What do you need just to tune that last little tenth or two into your car to get it to where Moff is on that one lap pace especially?
Yeah, look, Krause, pretty simple, just a little bit more horsepower, a bit better brakes, a bit more handling, and we'll be sweet, to be honest. But look, on a serious note, race one was a bit tough to you know, lose a win. Race two, you know, at the start of the race, I sort of thought, you know, I'm just going to go for a podium this one, stay out of damage and stay out of trouble, don't get any damage, and just see how we go. But yeah, I think for race 3 and 4 tomorrow, gloves going to come off. We're going to give it a crack.
So Nathan, Cameron Vandendungen here. I've enjoyed calling your racing this weekend so far. You are so aggressive off the start. Is that hurting you mid-race though, with just how aggressive you are at the start of one of these races?
I wouldn't say as such, Cam. For me, the Dodge is definitely struggling front aero. So when I'm stuck behind another car, it's terrible to drive, especially at turn 4. Turn 5 actually it is. Losing heaps of time there, but everywhere else on track we're the fastest car. So really I've just got to try and work out how to get a little bit more front aero in it. If I get to the front of the field, I have no doubts that, you know, the car's fast enough. We'll just hopefully drive away and get a win. But I'm just going to get to the front. I'm starting P3. You know, I learned a lot in my time in America. I know how to start one of these cars, and you know, I think that's been pretty well shown today. You know, starting 5th in both races, and both times I was up in the top 3 after the first lap. So yeah, I think we'll be right by tomorrow. I just got to get clear air, and then yeah, we'll hold these GRM guys behind me.
It's been a really hands-on process for you, Nathan, and we admire that. Just quickly, we're obviously all about GT4 on track at the moment. Have you been taking that in? Have you been watching a bit of that? Because for those that follow you on social media, you did have a little overseas trip recently, if memory serves. Is that right?
I did, yeah. Lamborghini Super Trofeo in Spa, so that was unreal to do that. That weekend was pretty tough. You know, it was running right at the front in practice, so I was actually aiming for a top 3, if not pole in qualifying, and started the car up in the morning, she didn't start, so that was a bit of a shame. Started 55th in both those races, but I mean, the GT4 series, that's taken off huge, and even GT3s here. I mean, seeing the GTs has really come back big time here in Australia, and for me, you know, I like this Nathan Hearn racing stuff and doing a team myself and really trying to build a business in Trans Am. And a career in motorsport, but I still haven't given up my racing career just yet. So look, I'm definitely looking at hopping in GT soon. That's always something I've wanted to do, and if someone's watching this broadcast wants to put me in a GT car, I'm more than happy to. You can 1-800 sponsor me and I'll answer the phone.
Well, there you go. This conversation has achieved 2 things. A, an email request about a change of aero perhaps to the Dodge, and secondly, an offer to go driving in a GT4 at some stage. Hey, thank you for talking to us. Keep boxing and go well on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow with a few more complaints about. So.
There he is, Nathan Hearn. Brilliant stuff. Back we go. 41.5 minutes remaining in this Monochrome Australia GT4 race at the bend. And again, Flack has a little look at Miedeke, but it is status quo there.
He has thrown everything but the kitchen sink at George Miedeke, and the Ford Mustang is as wide as he can make it. Fast exit through turn 12. Marcus Flack sets off after him again. Josh Bucket, I've just been watching him on these shots. You can watch the helmet, just eyes focused forward. Just going to get through the traffic very shortly. I think George Miedeke's just probably going to come up on this back marker at an inopportune time. Hopefully gets through relatively easy. But Marcus Flack at various times has had purple sectors, and this is what I'm talking about. That has really compromised George Miedeke's run, and giving Marcus Flack another opportunity. So through turn 3.
Scott Turner did pretty much all he could there, though, to go as wide as he could to give the leaders a wide berth. New entry to the category, sharing with Rob Rebus. Flack goes down the inside, slices down the inside, and they'll use all of that escape sort of apron on the exit over that exit curb. Spoke to Craig Baird, who driver standards for GT World Challenge Australia, and he was saying that they're not too concerned about the exit. They prefer that everyone keeps on the racing line, or at least keeps 2 wheels over that inside white line on the exit there, but it's actually not a performance advantage to run that wide because you're steering so much to get back on the road. What they do watch down there at turn 6 on the West Circuit is the rejoin. So if you compromise someone or you gain a lasting advantage, that's when they're going to start getting some flags out. But that was fine, that was A-OK. Position changing. Young Marcus Flack, who's doing a great job in Carrera Cup racing this year, got the place, but right now it's up for grabs because Miedeke uses all the straight line motivation the Ford Mustang's got. This is GT4 racing at its best. Strengths and weaknesses of the various cars. The Mustangs drive out of the final corner, and it's horsepower from the big V8. Saw it got up the inside towards turn 1 and returns to second place. Nice battle. Josh Bucket builds the margin, 2.1 now.
Closed the door very quickly, did he, once George Miedeke was through. Experienced racer. This is where the move got done last lap, though. But the very fast McLaren in the other qualifying session, this car was pole with Tom Heyman. Not able to get the job done this time. George Miedeke a wake up to it and made sure the car was parked right in the opportune position as Marcus Flack looks for another way past and is just helping Josh Buchan build a very handy lead. And now the Porsche of Lockie Maneve starting to get up onto the battle.
I was just going to say, has anyone checked in on Chaz Mostert, entrant for Method Motorsport? Yeah. So Flack doing a nice job here, P3, and as you say, there you go, that to Cam's point there, you can see Maneve getting closer in that blue and yellow Porsche there, currently in 4th place.
Watching practice on Friday, Chaz was in the Method Motorsport garage, full race suit from Arise Racing on, but with the Method Motorsport headset, doing a debrief with his drivers, and then ran next door to jump in the Ferrari to go into a practice session for GT World Challenge. So he is properly engaged in this racing team that he's set up. It's really cool to see him do that. This is a great battle, and it's just brought Lockie Manif into it as well in the Porsche 718 GT4. Sam Brabham still running it. Just a little housekeeping. We saw that Ginetta, which is there on shot. The sister car to that, which we've seen in the race, which was going to be run by Mark Cottrell and Jared Hughes, who did a super job in qualifying early on. Unfortunately, they couldn't make the start for the weekend because it broke a drive shaft. And that was the one spare for that car that does not exist in this part of the world at the moment. So they were pretty gutted to not make the start of that with a broken drive shaft. Massive shame. They will be back in future rounds though.
So this is actually for position here. Rooney holds it at the moment, position 9, but it's getting a little wild.
Antonio Astudi in behind. Both the Astudi boys racing this weekend. His brother Valentino in GT World Challenge Australia. They've both come out of the Formula Ford pathway with Sonic Motor Racing, and it's a pretty well-known racing family. The Melbourne side of things with Dad Sam, a well-known Australian open wheel racer and team owner back in the day as well. Sam now heavily involved with Sonic, working on engineering their cars and also the career of his two boys. As Antonio looks down the inside, but not quite any room there, and Rooney's doing a really nice job holding on to this position as they race their way towards the mandatory pit stop window in the race.
Little moment to soak up the sounds of GT4. There's the BMW coming through. Shot, that's Tim Lays. That gives you an idea of Lay back to Jackson Rooney, who's under a little bit of siege here, but holds the spot, resists the pressure. That's a good job from that young man. Game over on that occasion, though, and up the inside comes Astudi.
And Jake Camilleri trying to get in this mix as well in a three-way battle between the Mercedes AMG GT4s.
Jackson will be a little bit hard on himself over that. He's got a bit of, I don't know, got a little bit of SVG about him in some respects in his demeanour. You know, properly serious racer, doesn't like all the BS and doesn't, you know, want to be a show pony so much. He wants just to get on with the racing, but he's a hard marker around that sort of stuff. Would not like to have given up that position easily.
You take a little bit of SVG, you're probably going to have a very successful career.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was about to say high praise from Greg Russ.
Yes.
Now I'm starting to turn my attention to what happens in the last half of this race, Kralsey. Arguably, I think the Medickies with that Mustang are well positioned here. I'm intrigued though with the Flack Heyman entry. I think this is going to be a good battle to the flag.
Can we add another little element to the storytelling here, and that is the importance of driver coaches, and a few of them in this field have the benefit of that, those with experience. I mean, Richard talked before about Chaz Mostert actively being engaged with his drivers and things like that for Method Motorsport. Well, what about Max Vidot? You know him exceptionally well, Richard, from his time in Carrera Cup. He's been racing in Super 2 as well over summer, was in New Zealand and guiding some of the races over there, so he's just been hands-on the whole time in recent months. He's on the line. Max, g'day, welcome. Tell us about what you're up to so far this weekend, and are you frustrated racing driver?
Yeah, always am when I'm at a racetrack and I'm not driving a race car, but yeah, helping out the boys in the Sprint Challenge. Rob Woods, the owner of the team, is finally back in a race car, which is pretty good, and obviously Zoe's out here having a go, which is cool.
So you take the headset off to kindly talk to us, but when you're in the race and across the race weekend, just give us a sense of that coaching and how you help there.
Yeah, obviously having a coach, you kind of get the idea of race lines, break points, stuff like that, and being a track like this, I've driven a Porsche many times around here, not quite the GT4, but yeah, done a few laps, but yeah, it just kind of helps them get to the limit a bit earlier and a bit more understanding on why we go about the business.
Maxie, we're watching Zoe at the moment. She's done a really good job this weekend, but very, very early in her racing career. So what's your take on how Zoe's going, and what's your role with her in developing her as a race car driver?
Yeah, so this is Zoe's second proper season. She's been racing the 86 season last year, which was pretty good. A lot to learn. Obviously, the GT4 is a bit of a different car. She seems to be loving it. She ran a P4 in the wet yesterday, which was pretty cool. The whole team was massively amped up for that. yeah, just keep her turning laps and keep building her confidence every time she hits the track. As we know, the way you walk around the track is the most important thing, and building that confidence.
Before we let you go, if memory serves, I think you were with Rick Armstrong over summer in New Zealand, Marcus Armstrong's dad, helping there. Tell us a little bit about that, and hey, it'd be wrong of us to get you on and not talk about your own career and how you're going. What's next on the horizon for you?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool opportunity to get over to New Zealand with International Motorsport, engineering Rick Armstrong over the summer. I learnt a lot from him and the whole team. So yeah, we really gelled really well. So very enjoyable. But obviously my own racing has been not so busy in the first half of the year. The Super 2 calendar is very spread out. So we managed to run P2 and race 2 at Perth, which was good. But yeah, just keen to jump into a car and do as many laps as I can.
Thanks for talking to us. We'll let you get the other headset back on and do your job as a coach. And we hope Sunday's not too frustrating for you on the sidelines. Thanks for talking with us.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
There you go.
Great South Aussie pride.
Yeah, exactly. Beat me to it. Well done.
Brings a tear to the eye for Kralsey. You get South Australians, people that have been in Porsches, GTs. We're just missing a little bit of Formula 3 and it'd be complete, wouldn't it, Kralsey?
Well, John Collins, the guy that wrapped the car that's leading the race, is a former Australian Formula 3 champion. Speaking of leading the race, how about this? It has all closed up. Now, the big horn you heard in the background of that interview with Max Vidot was the pit window opening, and Marcus Flack jumps immediately. So he's gone for the undercut. Get that car in pit lane, serve your mandatory pit stop, and try and get an undercut as much as you possibly can. Now, there are mandatory pit stop times to take into account. The base time at this circuit is 115 seconds, but those that had success last time out have a longer pit stop. Now, including the car that's just pitted, they've got 10 seconds extra than the minimum time. The Mustang's got great drive out of turn 3.
There's more urgency here. There's more urgency here. I think the pit stop on the horizon gets by. Good move from Medik. He takes the lead.
It's got some grunt, that Mustang.
Oh, did you see that? It was almost like the team got on the radio and said, qualifying lap now.
Pretty
and he
much.
just went.
Yeah.
So George Medik has taken over the race lead from Josh Buchan. 30 minutes, 50 seconds remaining. This is the battle. When they roll out, remember, this is just to minimise the effect.
George had to go because his stop's going to be 5 seconds longer than Marcus Flack, who's already in the lane. As long as Buchan remains with George Medik here, they're in the box seat to come out of this with the net race lead. But the McLaren's going to go a lap down because Medik goes through and goes straight to pit lane. So he got the lead and now bails immediately to go and get some service up at Medik Motorsport at the end of pit lane. And that re-elevates Josh Buchan to the race lead. So Josh is going to go as long as he possibly can into the race. Jason New, his co-driver, much less experienced to those around him. So he's probably got a little bit more work to do now to get that car in a good position for the second half.
To give you an idea of the difference, we know that Heyman in that the Marcus Flack entry was the fastest of the other qualifying session. Jason New was 9 seconds off the pace in that same qualifying. So that's just to give you some actual numbers there that say he's new to it, he's new to this track, it is hard, but that's a long way back.
It's a big margin to make up, but Josh now needs to do as much as he can for as long as he possibly can for this 10-minute window of pit lane being open to take your mandatory pit stop. And then the fact they've got a shorter pit stop than the key cars they're racing. Out of the lane comes the Method Motorsport McLaren.
We have put in a request to speak to Chaz Mostert, and he's politely said no, and I actually completely understand that because he's, as Richard's talked about before, he's all about what's going on in this race and helping that team. So we'll endeavour to chat with him tomorrow during our broadcast, but it's a busy scenario when he's running from Arise Racing, working on that Ferrari, to this, his own operation as well. Buchan continues to lead the way from Manif, who's, I think he's also trying to do qualifiers as well, Lockie, before their pit stops happen. Just to the right of your screen, that's the other side of the story. Lights flashing for the Mustang, hasn't left the lane yet. There'll be a change of driver there as well, I would imagine. I didn't see it, but I would imagine Ryland Gray at the wheel. So waiting for the Lubramax Mustang to come out of the lane. We've got a bit to shake out of this race once the pit stops are done.
And this is the frustrating part for Ryland, just sitting there, but it's a timed pit stop from the pit in line to the pit out line. So there's a timing loop at the start and the end of pit lane. So you have to take into account the time it takes to drive from one end of the lane to the other, plus the time it takes to pull into the pit bay, to the stationary time, and then to drive out. Now this will be for the net race lead. McLaren will go past and will take point, but only just.
Is this the in-lap for Josh Buchan? Where are they at with this team? What's Lockie Manif doing? In the meantime, it's the other tail of the story here. Has Sam Brabham been able to make a bit of hay here as well and bolt or bank some good laps? So cool to see Sam Brabham back in Aussie motor racing.
Josh goes around again. He will make every last lap he can possibly squeeze out of this stint count. So Lockie Manif rejoined in front of the Ford Mustang. So Gray now getting up to speed behind the wheel of the Lubramax car. And that McLaren just in front. There he goes. That's the car Marcus Flack drove in the first half of the race. So that's a net gain for them.
Yeah, I must admit, looking at this gap here, you mentioned before the pit stop, and you'd say George Miedeke on that little lap, that extra time he found, did a great job to nullify, well, as much as he could, the advantage that the McLaren had. But he's got his work cut out for him. I was just about to say he has to press on with it because the driver in front of him is no slouch. The gap between the two of them, they were the fastest two at the end of qualifying, was 0.4 of a second, and it went the way of the McLaren. So, bit of work to do for Ryland Gray.
Good job by Lockie Manif. He's found another 10th or two as he closes in on Buchan. It's not a massive gain, but all these little things will add up, will help. So we're waiting on these guys to peel off into pit lane. I think it's a similar story for Brabham. Need to confirm it too. I don't know, has Jackson Rooney handed over to Quinn?
Not yet, still to pit.
So, a few other stories still to happen in this pit stop window. Another 10th. Manif finds another 10th before he hands over to Shane Smolin. And Shane's a really solid pair of hands for the final stint of this race, isn't he?
Shane won the GT4 title last year. They were sharing a grid with the Australian production cars while they built numbers in GT4 before going standalone this year, where it has since exploded in numbers. 18 cars turning up here at Shell V-Power Motorsport Park at the Bend. Buchan continues to push on. Second in hand over Manif in behind. Morecambe has remained out as well in that McLaren in third position. Sam Brabham still out. Antonio Astudi. Ryder Quinn's just pitted. So too Jake Camilleri. So too Rooney and Zoe Woods. So it's about the time now to get that car into pit lane. I'd suggest we'll see Buchan this lap or the next one around before that window closes.
I've been watching the time gap as well between Heyman and Gray. It was out to 2 seconds. It's sitting thereabouts. 1.8 to 2 seconds. It's bouncing around. So Heyman controlling the race. You see if Buchan continues for another lap.
But Smolin's in. The Smolin entry is in, I should say. Lockie brings it into the lane, so good stuff there. You can see Jackson Rooney's game over Mercedes in there as well. I think that's Sam Brabham pulling into the lane in the background now too. So it all starts to get lively. Buchan is running long here. He is going to take this as long as he possibly can. And I think that's because of what Cam alluded in a very polite way too before. Just the experience of his driver and minimising the damage or the impact of that.
Unusually diplomatic from our colleague about
yes,
that as well, but very nicely said indeed. So Tom McLennan will jump behind the wheel of this McLaren. Tommy's been a really rising star in the ranks of one-make Porsche racing of late. He's in the Carrera Cup at the moment with Alabama Motorsport, but getting double the duties and double the experience behind the wheel of GT machinery. Did the 12-hour with this team, made his debut in GT racing with them and did a really nice job. So he takes over that car now. So
it's one thing to do a pit stop driver change for a professional driver. I don't know about you, but there's always a bit of anxiety I always have whenever I see the changeover. Are my belts done? Are the brakes ready? And this is what some of these drivers that are not professional are actually coping with. Then you've actually got to get your brain right for turn one. as we see your race leader, Josh Buchan, come back in. He's going to be handing over to Jason Yu.
Really nice to see Nathan Morecambe back behind the wheel of a race car. And just to your point there a moment ago, Cam, he was the calmness. He stepped out of the car, very methodical in the way that he was plugging in things around the drink system, making sure the belts were right over the Hans device and so on. Just, you need that nice little bit of calm. There was no need for rush or panic. Just get that stop execution right. Here's your race leader. So Buchan will step from the car. Good stint by Josh Buchan.
And that's a calm exit. That's not what we're used to.
Well, they've got time. That's the thing. With these time pit stops, it takes all that intensity out of the driver change thing. So they do have time to get that 1%er right, making sure the belts are done up properly, making sure the drink bottle's plugged in. So out goes Shane Smollen, unlapping himself. So he went a lap down in that sequence from Josh Buchan during the pit stops.
Look at the traffic. That's it. Your race leader there. Well, effective race leader at the end of all these stops. George Miedeke just caught out. Nearly had someone turn in on him before. Sorry, Rylan Gray, who was at the wheel of the Ford Mustang.
Just need to pick up the relative location of car 24 because Tom McLennan now behind the wheel of that car. I'm just trying to check where they've actually resumed, Cam, because
No, they're in front.
they need to go through a timing intermediate to just update the timing, but I think they're actually going to jump to the lead in that because they had the shorter pit stop. So from one McLaren leading to another, that's Rod Wilson on screen. He's gone full McLaren with the papaya actual merchandise on there. So he's gone to Albert Park and bought that earlier in the year. But Rod, who heads up Zagami Motorsport, former racer, V8 Utes and GT cars.
To be honest, most of the world's going full McLaren at the moment.
Why
as
wouldn't you?
they're starting to take it to Red Bull.
So let's have a look at where the rejoin is for Jason Yu, who's behind the wheel of this McLaren that was leading the race. And he will end up back in front. So they've been able to complete that stop with everyone shuffling around and he takes the race lead. So Tom McLennan is now properly second position. Tom Heyman on screen in third. Rylan Gray back to fourth. But now what happens is this all starts to compress as we race our way the final 20 minutes of this first race of the weekend in round 2 of Monochrome GT4. And there's about to be a lead change here because Tom McLennan, who's got his car up to temperature and pressure, will slice down the inside and take the race lead away.
Nice, courteous kind of bit of driving there too. Just the approach speed was massive. The car is up to temperature, as Richard said, and no fight put up there. Now, we're going to keep an eye on some of these changes that will invariably happen here with 20 minutes remaining, but someone who's been really kind to be waiting in the background, standing by, is Tony D'Alberto. And we want to weave him into the conversation now. So, Tony D, thank you for we'll go to him in a minute. Sorry, he's not quite with us at the moment.
So McLennan leads from you, Heyman and Gray. The 3 fastest drivers in qualifying yesterday, Heyman, Gray, and then McLennan. So we've got the 3 fast drivers at the right end of the field.
Heyman's got to do the job and get past you, and he's still got Rylan Gray right behind him. So by no way and means is this a lock at this point in time, but McLennan has got track position. And that's what these rules and regulations around GT racing, GT World Challenge, so GT3 and GT4, that's what they do. Sometimes the regs roll your way, the pit stop times roll your way. Sometimes you don't, but that's the beauty of this racing. You've got to make the most of it when you can, though, and this team have done that right now.
And to give you some time differences, over 1 lap, qualifying trim, 1.1 seconds was the difference between Heyman and McLennan. Heyman, the faster driver, over 1 lap. He's got time up his sleeve here. 19 minutes. A little bit of track position is worth its weight in gold.
Actually surprised it's that big between the two of them because they're both very evenly matched and both quite level in their experience, although in different categories over the years. Tom Heyman we've seen in Trans Am. McLennan through the ranks of Porsche one-make racing.
So we'll go through the gap. 4 seconds between first and third. I know we're sort of riding off Jason Yu at the moment. We don't expect he'll be there based on experience. and lap speed in the hunt for a podium at least, Rusty.
Just while you're highlighting that, Cam, it's been not an easy mission for Heyman to clear you here, and that has allowed the grey entry, the Mustang, to close up a bit of ground. He's found about a second as all that traffic has been shaking out.
That was where I was about to go with that, Rusty. It was really interesting that you's been able to hold on. It's going to be Heyman will through. Gray, though, was within a second, or roughly a second away. So we're squeezing up at the right end of the race. GT4, it looks like it's about to deliver again like it did at Phillip Island.
18 minutes remaining. I jumped the gun a little before, but he's standing by now. Tony D'Alberto, can we bring you in? No doubt you've been watching a bit of this action as well, but can we say firstly, congratulations on the result in TCR there before, but even more importantly, mate, well done. Super Steps, you raised more than $10,000 for the Starlight Foundation, and you were harassing everyone too, but in a kind of good way. You were spamming everyone trying to get the support, weren't you? Well done.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic month, trying to do as many steps as we can, but also raising as much money for the Starlight Children's Foundation as well. So had the Super Steps campaign, we did over 10,000 steps every single day, and we raised over $10,000. So I'm absolutely pumped. It's so appreciative of everyone's donations.
Yeah, Tony D'Alberto, Cameron, I sent in a couple of spam requests relating to your emails and SMSs and other things. Congratulations on the money raised. Let's talk about motorsport here today as well. You got very close to the race win. What are you working on? What does the car need to give you? We saw a little bit of a lock-up on the last part as you went for a lunge there as well. What do you need to take it to Jordan Cox?
Oh, look, he won the start, and we just weren't quite strong enough to make the move. So it was a pretty high-risk manoeuvre if I was going to do it, and I just wasn't prepared to. So our car's really good. If I can try and get him off the line tomorrow, I think we've got plenty of car speed on board.
Tony, reverse grid race, of course, tomorrow. How do you approach that? Do you get your elbows out and try and make up as much ground because you're still trying to recover some championship points, or do you play it a little bit safe with that third and final race in the back of your mind? How do you go?
That's backfired on me before, so I'm going to be going full noise, trying to pick up as many positions as I can, just in case we have a Simmons Plains repeat. So I think you've got to get the elbows out. It's not going to be easy to come through the field, but we want to put ourselves in a great position for race 3 there and try and win the weekend.
Before we let you go, what is that Lambo like? Have you enjoyed things? You're on double duty this weekend in the GT3 as well with Adrian Dietz.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to sleep well tonight. The GT cars are just so physical. You're driving the absolute wheels off them, so great opportunity this weekend to jump in with Adrian. You know, just to keep building on experience that we have with that car. That car's pretty new to Australia. We did the Bathurst 12-hour earlier in the year, and we did some races later in the season. So this is a great chance to jump in with Adrian, and I'm going to start the race tomorrow and see if we can have a really good result there too.
Congratulations on what you've done for the Starlight Foundation, mate. Well done. And you had a nice little holiday with your wife in recent time as well. So from us, grazie. I hope you had a great time in Italy.
Thanks, boys. It must be nice and warm in Melbourne. It's freezing here.
You go. Great to talk to you, mate. Well done. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
There he is. He's a great fella. And we rightly shone a bit of light on that because in all sorts of ways, and you often do it around the 6-hour Rich and so on, there's lots of great charitable initiatives from the people in this community, aren't there?
We had 6 at the 6-hour this year and a couple at the 12 as well. Yeah, it's a great cause. So 10,000 steps a day over a month. So, I mean, it's 300,000 steps, isn't it? No, it'd be more than that, wouldn't it? I don't know, my maths is not that handy.
All you have to do is pit lane reporters do a couple of race meetings. You absolutely blow the doors off that.
Get the violins
playing.
Exactly. 14 minutes remain in this GT4 race. We've just shut that conversation down. McLennan from Heyman. Gray is in 3rd place. Smolin's up to 4th now. Hughes back to 5th. Will he be able to hold that spot, or can Tim Lay, with 13, just under 14 minutes remaining, can Tim Lay maybe wrestle that 5th place on the run home in the BMW?
Well, we're on at the front as well because Tom Heyman on lap 27 and we're on lap 28 now, set the fastest lap of the race by 3/10, and that leading margin has tumbled from just over 2 seconds to 0.8. Well, I mean, you can see it there, can't you? 2 Method Motorsport McLarens locked together So the Artura's looking handy. We'll give you a lap time check next time around as well, just to see where Ryland Gray is. He's taken half a second out of McLennan this lap as well. So what Ryland Gray wants now is for McLennan to bottle up Tom Heyman for as long as he possibly can, because if he can get that Mustang close to these things, I think he's got the straight line motivation to put a move on.
Yeah, and he needs that. He needs to be close enough. Over the lap, one lap, I don't think he's got the car, but look at this, some traffic starting to play into it. So if these two trip over the traffic, 4 seconds is a gap back, so you can pretty much put away the timing chart for the first two. We worry about the gap back, another 2/10 taken out of it. So your leader, McLennan, followed by Heyman, and in the background, the third on the podium, Ryland Gray in the Ford Mustang. It's getting closer, another 2/10 at the next sector.
Yeah, this is good stuff. McLennan's pretty switched on. He's done this before. He races one-mate Porsche, so he's good with the elbows out, battle-hardened racing. The Randall Motorsport BMW does the right thing. Good heads-up driving to let the leaders go through to continue their battle. But all of a sudden, Gray within 3.5 seconds now of these two. And McLennan defended, and probably defended a little bit early, perhaps down into turn 6, and it compromised his exit. And he's starting to drive the car down the inside of the road, Cam, and it's really compromising him.
He doesn't have the car underneath him. Watch him on the exit of some of the corners. It's really not there, and he's just parking the car with traffic is what's happening. So now the move could be on, but McLennan shuts the door, making Heyman go the long way around. He has the faster car, but he doesn't have track position. He's got the over-under move, but being driven straight across by McLennan, not able to close the door, and that should be through. Heyman takes over the race lead.
That's classic tail and bend racing. The move starts about 5 corners before it's executed. So where's Ryland Gray in this? It's 2.5 seconds now. He is hauling in the leaders in the big Ford Mustang, but McLennan, can he fight back? He's going to have a look down the inside. Heyman's not done with yet. The teammates going at it, and at what point does the team jump on the radio and go, hey boys, you've got 11.5 minutes to go. Whatever you do, make sure Method Motorsport McLaren Artura wins this race, because there is a real possibility they could get so involved in this battle that it drags the Mustang into the mix, and he could jump them both.
Lights are on with that Mustang in the background, so let's keep a little eye on that. In the meantime, we'll just focus briefly on another battle within the field, and it's kind of a fun family feud in some respects, and we're talking about Ryder Quinn, who's driving the number 3 down in position 12. He's out of the car at the moment, and Popeye, his granddad, Tony Quinn, sits in 10th place. Hello, Ryder. How's the weekend been so far?
It's been exciting. It's been so exciting. We've had wet, we've had dry, we've had sun, we've had freezing cold. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit strange battling my granddad on track, but it's all part of the fun.
Have you been enjoying these GT4 machines? We've seen you at the wheel in the last 12 months or so of Porsche Carrera Cup, and even the Toyota Racing Series, as we affectionately know it in New Zealand. You've driven some stuff in the last year or so, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, these GT4 cars are amazing. My eventual goal is the GT3, so I think this is a gradual step into doing that. And yeah, it's just another step in my career. And yeah, it's just awesome. It's so cool.
RZ, it's crazy here. I'm crazy about this racing. It's good. You've had a good start to your Carrera Cup season too, my friend, and Darwin coming up in a couple of weeks. Just talk about jumping between that car and adapting to the GT4 car. How are you managing that?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, like, they've all got 4 wheels, but the 2 cars are very different. These guys have a lot of aids, so your TC, your ABS, stability control in some cars, and you know, they are 2 different cars, and again, 2 different weather scenarios. Darwin's going to be stinking hot, and here is freezing cold, so you know, getting a bit of everything.
Hey, it's Cameron Vanderdungen here. You were talking about racing your granddad before. Would you give him an inch? Would you give him even half an inch, or is he just like any other racer when you're out on track?
No, I mean, he's any racer. He is any racer. Thankfully, I didn't have to race him. Steve, my stepdad, he's in the car right now. He's battling him, and we're currently chasing him down for the last step of the podium in Pro-Am. So, let's see what happens. I don't know what the gap is right now, but I hope he's reeling him in.
We're going to have to let you go there because there's a battle happening up in front. We'll let you enjoy your own one. Hopefully it's a successful afternoon and go well tomorrow. Thanks for talking to us, Ryder.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
There he is. Great young man, and always, I know he's had a moment or two along the way, but he never seems to be without a smile, Ryder Quinn. It's infectious. Really good fella.
It's clicked this year, Rusty, and Carrera Cup in particular, which is a sort of full-time campaign, and he is a contender every weekend, which is awesome to see. And he's a great character too.
Oh, I was loving that.
As you would be being a Quinn.
You get the hands out talking as well. He was bouncing around. This is great. Here's a driver doing well though. Tom Heyman, he's got a 1.4 second gap, and Rylan Gray, he's hunting down second place at the moment. You can see it. And he's ever closer, but with 7 minutes 50 remaining, not sure he's going to be able to get to Heyman.
It's almost 15 degrees at the bend there. I don't know what they're all complaining about. Seriously, racing car drivers. So this is a good fight, and what a good drop this has been from Rylan Gray. His dad, Jeremy, is a vastly experienced racer in his own right, but Rylan, in the last couple of years, has just injected himself into the landscape so brilliantly. And the Medickies believe in this young guy. They are so confident he's got superstar potential, and they're going to back him all the way. Hence this opportunity to drive alongside George in the Ford Mustang GT4. A car that is turning out to be very important in the motorsports scene at this point of time. Ford are very engaged with their motorsport product. They had a couple of wins in supercars last time out in the West. Chazzy Mostert did the business over there. Superb performance from them and Cam Waters the next day, and then there's talk of Ford Mustang GT3s in this part of the world as well, and they're starting to get on form in global GT3 competition. Here's a move potentially. You can see the different lines they can take down at 6. And the other thing about that Mustang is you think the McLaren's allowed, and then the Ford comes along and it just blows them all away in terms of decibels.
I think motorsport's better when Ford's coming back into it. They do ebb and flow with their commitment to the sport, as we see Rylan Gray commit to a move down here. Not able to do it on the outside. McLennan making the McLaren, which is much smaller, quite wide, out on track.
Much smaller. It looks tiny.
It fits in the boot of the Mustang.
That passion you're talking about is top down at the moment from those guys, and you can even add to that in your description as we look at Chaz Mostert watching on from the pit wall, hands on at the moment, as Rich has talked about. On the outside is Gray. The line will be covered though. The line's covered by McLennan, so he holds on to that second position. The point I was going to make, Supervan was out here for Bathurst 12-hour Grand Prix and more, and that thing is a cool bit of kit.
And that was the bit I was about to cover off, with them re-entering the sport with Formula One in 2026 as well, as we see the move finally getting put on. Up the inside, he needs to close the door on exit, and he does. That'll be move done for second place.
Of all the places to do it, turn 5. I mean, you'd expect turn 1 or turn 6. But turn 5 is enormously high commitment, fast sweeper. The car gets all loaded up. It wants to drive you off the road. And if you go off the road there, you're going to have a long off, or it's going to fire you back across into that inside wall. So that was a lot of commitment required. But same from Tom McLennan, who gave racing room. Driver standards bosses of series preach about this in drivers' briefings. Give racing room. Give enough room for the guy making a move to get up the inside, and that's what happened there. That was good racecraft from both drivers and a really good piece of racing.
Love the fact that the Medicki family have given Rylan Gray a go with this project, with this team, and he has grabbed it with both hands, been super aggressive in this race and unrelenting in the way that he's kept clawing his way back through the field. Good battle with McLennan, but he's got a car length or 2 on him now. I just think with 4.5 to go, the margin to Heyman, the former Trans Am racer, he's been able to eke out an advantage that might just be too much at this point, Cam.
Yeah, just over 4 minutes remaining. Top 3 drivers from qualifying, in qualifying number 2, when it was just these guys on track, are the top 3 in that exact order right now. You'd say Tom Heyman, since he's taken over, has been the class driver. But there's been great drives today, Krause, throughout, at all different levels.
Solid day for Shane Smollen. He's running 4th in the 718 Cayman GT4. Tim Lay 5th. had a change of class for this round. Tim finished third outright in the opening round at Phillip Island, but due to the driver categorisation and the classing and the way it works, he felt like he'd have more of an advantage upgrading his class. And Tim wants to race outright. He wants to win outright. He's not interested in winning his class. So the man from Orange doing a nice job. He's up 3 spots to 5th place. And Jake Camilleri actually has been a quiet achiever, Cam, as well. He's up to 6th. The Queenslander Grand Prix Mazda and the automotive group up there is his business, but he's a multiple Australian production car champion, hugely experienced guy, and up to 6th place. That's been a nice drive as well. Yeah,
clock continues to count down, and McLennan's not letting Gray get too far up the road from him. I know the gap, it's about a second at the moment, but Gray has a 5.1 second deficit to count down. If anything, I think McLennan might even be coming back at Ryland Gray. No, it's holding at 6 tenths, so he did take a couple of tenths out of him. It's not over. The spots on the podium, I think. Heyman, barring a catastrophe, he's got this one locked away. So we turn our attention to second, which we thought was done. Not sure it is.
The other reason the Ford thing's good, to pick up on your point before, is that Menike family own a Ford dealership. So they literally race what they sell on the showroom floor. So there's genuine brand relevance, like the old days of the sports. The win on Sunday, sell on Monday. It's not quite as straightforward as that anymore, but you can go and buy a Ford Mustang much like this one. And GT4 cars are much more production-based relative to their road car than a GT3 car is.
I think I'd have any car in this field though, Krause.
You'd be happy with them all, wouldn't you?
Pretty much anything. You put in my garage, I'll say thank you.
I've driven a Cayman 718 and they are incredible. I'm not fortunate enough to drive a GT4 McLaren yet, but yeah, you'd be okay with all of them.
Where do we submit our request?
It's a shame they don't do a Mazda GT4 car, isn't it, Cameron, for Team Vanderdagen?
You're getting me up and about.
Your call is important to us. Please continue to hold. Right, back we go. Ryland Gray, what's the margin there now? It just seems like 4.2 seconds to our race leader and a bit of lap traffic in between with 1:20 remaining on the clock.
Hey, look at this. McLennan's gone personal best to the first sector. He wants to have a shot at the stumps here. I love this. At the end of an hour-long race, and we're seeing green on our timing screen.
Wonder if that's been coached or you know, encouraged along by Chaz Mostert in the background. So be nice for them to try and sneak a 1-2 for Method Motorsport if they can do that.
Hey, look at the gap. 2 tenths just before between Gray and McLennan. That's your race leader though on screen. We're timing out shortly. 40 seconds will time out. So we've got another couple of laps in here.
Ryland lost 7 tenths in the middle sector of this lap. So McLennan's come right back to him.
That's the battle. This is the battle for second on screen.
24-7 for the Ford Mustang. 22-7 for the race leader.
Something must have happened there. Maybe a little overshoot somewhere, Rich.
Remember though, the gap had only been about 8 tenths between them before that. So it doesn't take much to catch back up, and it's on. We're about to time out on this lap. We've got another lap at the end of that one. So thanks for sticking around on 7+. We're giving you a great race to wind up day one.
Yeah, it's been an awesome day as well. Mixture of long and short races. Get more of the same from the Ben Motorsport Park tomorrow as well. Another GT World Challenge epic, and that will build and build. Another GT4 race, Porsche Sprint Challenge, Sports Sedans are back, and of course TCR and Trans Am. It's a big show. The races come thick and fast at Shannon's Speed Series events. Do need to give a quick shout out to all the volunteer officials. We joke about the weather with the racing car drivers, but it is quite cool here this weekend, and there were some quite heavy rain showers yesterday at the venue. So to our volunteer officials who do such an amazing job at Motorsport Australia events around Australia, thank you for sticking by and for making sure we can all enjoy some great motorsport. So the clock has ticked to 0. They should be on their final tour. And what a performance this has been from Tom Heyman since taking over this car. Marcus Flack was fast and racy and aggressive early on. His dad, Damien, is here and watching on. Damien, a former racer in his own right. his...
Good old Aussie racing car days. One of the biggest incidents I've ever seen at Bathurst involved a flag, actually 2 flags.
I spoke to him about that early in the weekend. Yeah. Commonality point between the two of us with Aussie racing cars, but as Flack goes down the inside, he's still going to deal with some lap traffic on the final lap of the race, so he needs to negotiate these well. But yeah, it's a great racing family. His uncle races in Carrera Cup. His cousins race, in fact, young Lana profiled in the national media this week, racing internationally and doing some driving. So it's a great racing family, and Marcus has done well, but Tom Heyman has executed brilliantly in the last half to bring this one home.
Great job by the former Trans Am racer who, when I spoke with him about the move into this class of racing at Phillip Island, he was absolutely loving the switch. Something a little different, something a little new, very different from a Trans Am machine, but what hasn't changed, he's in the winner's circle. Tom Heyman greets the checkered flag, and it's a great result for Method Motorsport as well. Gray will hold on for second in that Mustang. Nice work by Middeke Motorsport. And then McLennan home in third place.
So a 1-3 for the McLaren team, with the Ford Mustang second, backing up what they achieved at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. But showing the variety, Rusty, in GT4 racing. A Porsche Cayman 718 GT4 in fourth, and in fifth place a BMW with Tim Lay. So 4 different brands in the top 5. That's an outstanding result. Jake Camilleri for Mercedes-AMG. So 5 different brands in the top 6. Awesome job. Jason Yu brought the Zagami Autosports car home in 7th place after Josh Buchan led early. And Zoe Woods, we heard from driver coach to the stars Max Vidot. We got his coaching on at the end, and she did an awesome job to finish inside the top 10.
Jackson Rooney in that car that he shares with Tony Quinn, just outside the top 10. They'll do a little bit of head scratching in the wake of that. And young Ryder Quinn finishes in 14th in that one. Highlights for you. Race 1 of the weekend, courtesy of Supercheap Auto Club, the best loyalty program in the country. And it was Josh Buchan, fresh from a top 3 in the TCR series, that led them away in the McLaren from George Miedeke in the Mustang. So
I'm not sure Josh is going to be in that car all season, but it's pretty exciting when he is. He is super quick. And a great bit of racing here with George Miedeke in the early stages, working his way through the field in that Ford Mustang after such a good start to the race. The battles continue. The pit stop strategy was really interesting. Some went really early, some went a little late. And then the 2 McLarens went at a stressful time for team boss Chaz Mostert watching on from pit wall. And then this great bit of motorsport through turn 5, high-speed sweeper, commitment corner. And Ryland Gray and Tom McLennan raced with respect. Tom Heyman raced to the checkered flag. McLaren on top at Shell V-Power Motorsport Park in Monochrome GT4 Australia. And there'll be some celebrations down there this afternoon in a cool pit lane, but a beautiful clear day of racing here in South Australia, and a really good day with more to come tomorrow. What a product GT4 is proving to be. Keeps getting stronger and stronger, and this grid will continue to grow as the season evolves. There's more cars coming into the country. And he'll wear the Pirelli hat, and he'll do it with pride after a great win with Marcus Flake. Tom Heyman is down there with Sarah.
Tom Heyman, a fantastic race just then. Obviously, pretty long one, and a different type of setup than what you used to hear with the West Circuit.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome race. Obviously, endurance races are absolutely awesome with Marcus in the car. So, yeah, it was a good result. We obviously had a bit of fighting back to do at the end, but yeah, it was awesome.
So what was the tactic there? Obviously, as you say, there was a couple of people hot on your heels. What was going through your head at that time?
Just mainly get through the traffic and try and keep a good gap to the Mustang. Obviously, it's quite quick in a straight line compared to us. So, yeah, keeping that gap was most important, obviously navigating the traffic, but yeah.
Thanks very much. Winner of the Silver Cup, Tom Heyman. We'll head over now to Jacob Lawrence, the winner of the AM class. Jacob, fantastic job. Well done.
Thank you.
I'll let you put your hat on. Yeah. Really fighting back there at the end and really hot on the heels. How was that feeling, and what was going through your head, particularly for those last few laps there?
Yeah, I was just trying to keep clean, steady laps, as that was my first 1 hour race I've ever done. So without JB, missing your mate. But yeah, it was good. Just concentrated on hitting my marks where I could and trying to drag in the cars ahead that I could see.
As you just said, first 1 hour race, I imagine you're pretty spent, you'll sleep well tonight. Yeah. How different is it having a longer form race like that to what you're used to?
Oh, heaps different. Just then I couldn't get my helmet off my hands, I'm bloody fatigued. I think I need to calm down, but no, it was good. I really enjoyed it. It's good fun.
Well done, great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll just head over to Shane Small and let him get his helmet off. Just one sec.
Yep, that's all.
So Shane Smollen and Lockie Beneath here. We might. Sorry, we'll have a we might have a chat to you, Lockie.
Cool.
Sorry, Shane. We'll let you get ready.
We're good.
Well done, guys. Fantastic job out there. How was it? What were you feeling?
Oh, it was awesome. It's great to get our first on-track win of the year. It's always a pleasure joining Shane and the whole Method Motorsport crew, and for the 25 to win outright in silver class is awesome. And yeah, it was an awesome prime battle. The series in GT4 just really stepped up this year, so awesome to get our first win on track, and hopefully another tomorrow.
Pretty good conditions out there today. Anything that you'd change?
Oh, not really. It's a few little car things, you're always chasing it, but yeah, the car's right in the window and really happy, and hopefully more of the same tomorrow.
Shane, felt good for you out there?
Yeah, it was good. For an old bloke, car fits better than the hat. But look, we had a 15-second pit stop we had to make up, and we did that pretty comfortably. So I think we've just got to stick to our knitting. There's no point trying to beat the silver guys. We're here to win a category, and I think we did a good job. Thanks.
So tomorrow, what will be the plan?
Oh, it'll be the same. There's a couple little things we need to have a look at in the car. As a puncher alarm the whole session there. So just make sure the car's good. We'll be good, and I think it's just rinse and repeat.
Thanks very much, guys.
We are nearly out of time. It's been a fantastic first day at the Bend. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow we've got a lot coming your way as far as the Shannon Speed Series is concerned. Cam, why don't we take a look at the lineup, because today was kind of a bumper offering, and tomorrow it's just as good.
Yeah, if today was an entree, I'm really looking forward to the main course. It was some awesome racing today, and it's set to get even better tomorrow. The National Sports Sedans, well, that racing was on for young and old. Tom Randall only just got it done today. Then tomorrow, Trico Trans Am have 2 more races. TCR, that was a great race between Jordan Cox and Tony D'Alberto towards the end, and there's so much more to come throughout tomorrow.
More from Monochrome GT4. The Porsches will be back, 2 helpings of TCR, and of course Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. Those GT3 machines will be back for another hour of competition. That is us done for the day. On behalf of Cam and all of our team, we hope you've enjoyed it live here on 7 Plus. We'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.